Is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett a Gothic story? Spoiler alert, I think so. Last week I did a sort of mini dissertation on the basic tenets of Gothic literature, which includes psychologically complex and morally ambiguous characters. And today I want to talk about the novel's main protagonist, Mary Lennox, and what ultimately makes her a Gothic figure. Let's get into it. At the start of the novel, Mary is a young girl living in British-occupied India with her parents, who completely neglect her and leave her to be perpetually waited upon by the household servants so that they don't have to acknowledge her existence. Consequently, and not surprisingly, Mary grows up spoiled, bad-tempered, hating people, and having absolutely no idea how to relate to them. When Mary is 9 years old, the entire household is stricken with cholera during an epidemic, leaving Mary orphaned and alone. She's ultimately shipped off to England to stay with her uncle, Lord Archibald Craven, who with a name like that you can't believe isn't a distant cousin to Dracula, in a large and dreary manor house called Misselthwaite. She's told by the housekeeper, Mrs. Medlock, that no one is going to trouble themselves about her, especially her uncle, who since the death of his wife has been living as a recluse. More on him later. She tells Mary that she's basically on her own, which is not much of a change for her. The house is immense, mostly empty, and Mary occasionally hears what sounds like a child's cry echoing through the hallways. Feeling those Gothic vibes yet? She occupies herself by exploring the grounds, which is how she discovers a locked door behind a wall of ivy, beyond which lies the titular secret garden. Pretty much from her introduction, Mary not only feels like a Gothic character, but in many ways like a Bronte character. In fact, she greatly resembles some of their most famous creations in both her circumstances and attributes. Like Jane from Jane Eyre, Mary is forced to move from place to place throughout her childhood where she is neglected, abused, and isolated. But whereas Jane is a virtuous and loving child, Mary starts out more like Heathcliff and Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. She's a little who answers the unkindness she has received with unkindness. But while Mary is disagreeable and spoiled to start out, she harbors a deep wish to be loved and cared for, which is why from the moment she discovers the garden, she feels almost instinctively compelled to restore it. The garden serves as a clear allegory to Mary herself, laying unwanted and forgotten for as long as she has, but as it turns out, is not beyond repair. As Mary goes about tending the garden, she undergoes her own rejuvenation by forming friendships with the servant Martha and her brother Dickon, who show her the kindness she has long been denied and help her to develop trust and empathy towards others. Their humanity helps to heal Mary's tortured soul, which in turn helps her not just to restore the garden back to life, but to help pull her fractured family out of despair. The Secret Garden may seem simpler than a Bronte novel, but it is no less complex in its depiction of Mary and in its exploration of childhood neglect, trauma, and isolation, but also redemption and rebirth. The book isn't afraid to paint Mary as a relatively unlikable character at first, so that her transformation feels earned and has us rooting for her to change. In my next video, I'll talk about some of the other central characters to The Secret Garden. But in the meantime, thanks so much for giving this video a watch, and I'll see you next time.